Recording. Right. So welcome everybody to the integration session of the ninth session of the inner space. And we have a lot of time today to share with each other what the core session stirred in us and whatever beautiful examples came up with us while I was doing the talking that we didn't have a chance to share at that point. So I'm very happy that you are here. So, but let's honor the tradition and let's start with a beautiful grounding. And I propose that Neil is going to read us a beautiful poem, one that probably some of you already know, that we think is very suitable for this session. Please, darling.
Thanks, Anne. For those of you that weren't at the recent session with R3.0, Ralph Thurman, Bill Bowie, and Penny and Joe both presented there. Penny presented on the inner work and Joe presented on the outer realities around bioregional carrying capacities and how we might enhance those through regenerative work, but with very much a recognition of collapse awareness and collapse acceptance. So recognizing that systems have been so damaged that we need to regenerate them, whether or not we're successful, but the guarantees of us actually being able to hold 8.2 billion people uplifted as we go through this collapse is very low. So it's holding that space for facing reality, which is very much the theme, as you know, of the work that we do here. So the poem that came to mind is one that we've shared before, but I'll just share it again. It's called Dear Darkening Ground. You can all see my screen? Great. So I'll do my best to read this in the way that Rilke would have read it. Can you see it?
I will just invite everyone just to take a few deep breaths. And land in your body. And maybe close your eyes, or if you prefer, open your eyes and look at the beautiful picture that goes with the poem.
This is the Abbey on the Park, or Abdij van Park, that's down the road from us here. It's within our local walking track. And on a couple of days a year, the sun lines up beautifully with the bell tower. And I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. Dear darkening ground, you've endured so patiently the walls we've built. Perhaps you'll give the cities one more hour and grant the churches and the cloisters too. And those that labour, let their work grip them another 5 hours or 7 before you become forest again and water and widening wilderness. In that hour of inconceivable terror when you take back your name from all things, just give me a little more time. I want to love the things as no one has thought to love them until they are worthy of you and real.
This is the poem Dear Darkening Ground of Rainer Maria Rilke, as translated by our elder Joanna Macy, who passed away recently and who we can honor in this space for the magnificent work, because we all stand on her shoulders. Yes. I don't know what this poem stirs in you, but feel it deeply. Feel it. Okay, Victoria just gave us a message that something came up and that she had to leave together with her husband. We are a relatively small group today, so I would like to invite you for a quick check-in round. Check-in is just, how do you feel right now? How do you feel right now? Like 1 minute max, every person, because we will have plenty of time to share more of what is in our hearts today. Okay, just to create a field together so that everyone has a voice and can be heard. Okay, whoever wants to start, you can start.
I can start. I feel good, and I feel curious, and I'm gonna pass it to Mil. Welcome.
Hello. I feel today like in between worlds because I haven't slept almost all night. We had really serious riots on the streets of many cities in Serbia. And I think that this excitement and maybe fear also, the result was that I was not sleeping. So now I'm really somewhere in between, but I think that's also a good place. Joanne or Joanne Fo, I don't know how to pronounce the name.
Oh, it's so anglicized, Joan Fox. Thank you, Melia. Is that I am just surrounded by construction that even as I try to be quiet and be present with this meeting, I can hear the work going on in the distance. And so I am very collaborative, accepting and aware. And I'm just so happy to be here with like-minded people and having these conversations. Thank you. I'll pass to Dave.
Thank you, Joan. So I attended the thing with Joe and Penny and the R3.0 folks before this. So I will say currently I am, feels like another layer of the onion and getting to the core of this has been peeled back. So some more processing for me up here and in my heart. And that's kind of where my mind is at the moment. So thankful for this session to maybe do some of that tonight. And I will pass to Rita.
Thank you, Dave. I'm feeling very contemplative right now, having caught the beginning and ending of totally present here. And so I'm anxiously awaiting the recording so I can go through that whole session in completeness. And I'm still reverberating from the session we had Tuesday. So there's a lot of emotion moving. We have 2 significant wildfires to the north and west of us here in Colorado, and the air has been smoky. So there's a ominous sense of the way the world is. And that's me for now. I'll pass to Pamela.
Well, thanks, Rita. I'm a little telephone. Unsettled and curious. Also grateful for that session on Tuesday. Beautifully crafted to frame a lot of really important inner material. So thank you for that. Karen.
Thank you, Pamela. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm okay, but I'm kind of assessing bigger picture of being okay, and I'm perceiving people. Earlier today, I learned that a friend whose house was totaled. They completely lost their house in the flooding, and so there are a couple of other friends who have lost jobs and things that are losing their housing or at risk of losing their of being evicted from their housing, and so kind of like the literal mutual aid level of people in my life that are experiencing some changes both economically and ecologically. And so joyful to be in this space with you, because I feel like the work that we do is part of creating the new possibilities. So thank you. And Marisa, thank you.
Thank you all, and welcome to our newcomers. I'm Marisa in coastal California. I'm feeling very grateful and grounded and present today. I just went downtown with my youngest son. He's starting today's his first day of his senior year of high school. So for the Americans, it's like, and he's my baby. So it's just, I'm so grateful. And this kid, his name is Finley. If you could just send him a little love. I'm so proud of him. He's transgender and he's really been through it and went through a lot of bullying and just came through it. Such a strong, amazing, capable young man. He'll be 18 this fall. And I just could not be more proud of him. So thank you all. And I will pass it to Sarah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And so glad that it just almost brought me to tears listening to the strength and the resilience through a process like that walking away with that is great. Like you, I also feel very grounded, and it's because I live on the road. So constant state of change. And I'm here with my twin sister, feeling very grounded, cooking together every day with nutrient-dense food, meditating together at night in the sauna, and just having that accountability partner and somebody showing up for you every day is just like a reminder of the love that we have. And yeah, so I'll pass it to Bridget.
My name is Bridget, and I'm based in Northeast Scotland, near the coast. And there isn't really a word for how I feel, but I think the closest is perhaps broken open in a powerful but also a good way, broken open to the sorrow, broken open to the joy, broken open to immersing myself in the North Sea and feeling that, but knowing the sea is in trouble. So just feeling the edges to everything, I think. Yeah. So broken open. I pass it to Pat.
Thanks, Bridget. I am feeling really moved by that beautiful poem, which I had not heard before. Feeling the darkening ground, feeling the darkening skies, feeling the longing for more seconds as the clock ticks toward midnight. And to link to our closing from Tuesday, I'm still feeling a bit Cinderella in the sense that waiting for that shoe to drop. You know, there's this sense of something hanging in the air and it's coming and that shoe's going to drop. And if the shoe's going to drop, then I'm going to be there to wear it and put it on and strut with my broom around my fireplace. And, you know, there may not be a castle in the sky, but I can take the shoes and I can ground and I can wear them and I can dance in them where I am. So that is how I'm feeling right now. Thanks. And let's see. Sarah.
Hi. I'm feeling like buzzing like in my chest today, and I don't know what it is. And I feel as though it has something to do with the stories I've been reading and enjoying, but it's like a sense of shifting, changing, and it's like a lot of energy. So right now I'm just like scribbling in a sketchbook to like keep moving it because I can't hold it all. But I'm very glad to be here today. So I'll pass it over to Denise. Have you gone? Okay, Denise.
Thank you. I also am feeling that fluttering so often, particularly when I tune into this, I didn't know the language before, but regenerators, because in my life, I know a lot of climate collapse deniers and aware people who are climate aware, but the acceptance is more rare. And to find a whole community is just, I can't even describe it. It's just, I'm so grateful to not feel so alone. And I am really grateful to all of you for being here with your hearts open and breaking open. It makes just a world of difference. Thank you. And I will pass it to David.
Thank you. I'm with the poem that Neil, you read so beautifully. It was so echoing of Joanna and her work. And reflecting on our session on Tuesday, I'm mindful of the person who has received a diagnosis of a terminal illness and discover that with that diagnosis, they feel more alive than they ever have in their life. And then I think of the last hour of the city, and how can the city come alive in the last hour before the forest takes over? And how can we city dwellers help that aliveness to happen with our hearts breaking open? The grief is overwhelming, but is so necessary. How can we be fully alive if we're not grieving? I'll pass it to Miriam.
Thank you. I feel calm and peaceful. I was on vacation for a while, for 3 or 4 weeks, and I've been to beautiful places I met with beautiful people. But even though it really feels good to be back home, so I think I'm super lucky. Meanwhile, there are lots of wildfires going on in Turkey. So it's another thing. Yeah. I also feel sad for them. And it really feels stuck to not be able to do something for them, for all the living beings destroying in the wildfires. Yep. And I pass it on to who's left.
Like Catherine?
Catherine, yes.
Catherine.
And Gabe.
And there's a couple more still that aren't on screen too, Anne.
Okay.
So I'm in a liminal space. It's been, there are these positives. I am working in the city. So David, I can really relate to your question. And I find the city space actually potentially so positive because of the scope that it allows. Should cities become sponge cities, which is my work, then that makes a huge change fairly quickly in the local region and thus in the global sphere. So I'm really optimistic about cities. And I've had ideas for a children's book, which has given me a lot of giddiness and happiness to begin to explore and see if I can bring that to life. So that's kind of fun. And on the other side, it's so interesting, strange, confounding that so many of the wildfires here in Washington State and in Spokane are set by arson. They're not natural. So there's this, and this is something that I'm seeing so strongly everywhere, that it is really a time to choose life or not. And if you're not choosing life, you're choosing death, however that manifests. And there's this subtle cultural pull to death that's just really underpinning so much of what we do. And this is really a time for us to turn our backs on that and to claim life and not worry about it. It's not about being in resistance. It's just not participating in that particular worldview. And there's a kind of joy in that, actually. And I'll pass it on to Gabe.
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, that resonates for sure on a couple of different levels. Yeah, I'm feeling a little melancholic, maybe seeing a lot of, news and media kind of highlighting the folks that maybe are pulled more towards that, the life over death mentality. I don't know, also the weather here in the Seattle area of the Cascadia bioregion. It's a little gray today, so I'm looking out the window and just, yeah, feeling a little low, but I was excited. Somehow this meeting, sounds like there was also a meeting on Tuesday, didn't show up in my calendar, but I pulled up the design school website and saw there was a meeting going on, so it was nice to jump on and hear some positive news and words from the community here. So with that, I'll pass it. I think Elias, I'm not sorry. I'm sure I'm butchering your name, but feel free to jump in.
Yeah, thank you. I will quickly check in. Yeah, I want to show you where I am because it's a special place in the southern Mediterranean
Oh, wow.
on the beach. And right now I'm with friends. We will be recording a podcast about this by region. And yeah, I want to share that I'm excited that we have a community of collapse acceptance that is growing, and I'm excited about this collective sense making we are doing together to build the collective resilience. That's me. Maybe I won't be here until the end of the call, but I will watch the recording if I miss anything. Thank you.
And Elias, I'm envious of your hat. Lovely hat.
I think I may actually be the last one to go.
Okay, Claire. I was just thinking, who have we missed? Claire, please go. Please go.
So, yeah, I'm feeling both, well, a sense of tiredness. So I'm feeling that. But I also really resonate, Bridget, what you were saying in terms of that feeling of sort of breaking open and you know, really just you know, looking towards opportunities, creating opportunities to both deepen my connection with the place where I am and to help bring others into sort of a sense of becoming part of this place and grounded in the history of place and the you know, just the cycles of life. I feel like right now that's something that's really helpful for me in the midst of sort of accepting collapse and not being overwhelmed by it, but finding ways that we can sort of really connect to our place and the people who are here with us. So I'm really holding that, and at the same time feeling a pull to want to go deeper with the work, you know, and working with grief and you know, sort of moving beyond, you know, as somebody who sort of grew up as a movement activist and thinking that, you know, we're going to solve these problems and so forth, that really to begin to kind of let go, to really look at what needs to be let go, what needs to be unlearned, and what holding some of those things that maybe have been invisible. When we were talking about what's visible, what's invisible, it's really like creating space for more of what's invisible within me kind of arising and finding ways to connect with other people to really sort of manifest that in a way that feels sort of, but you know, authentic and liberating, basically. Yeah, so that's me.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have we missed someone? There is some other person.
Brian has just joined us.
Okay. Brian, do you care to come online? You want to check in?
Yes. I'm in Australia. It's in the middle of the night, so at the moment I'm on audio, but I was very happy to be on the previous session. And yeah, I am concerned about the collapse, but I also have hope that we can build stellar tribes of abundance in the coming years. And I'm dedicating my life to it, and I feel as though I achieved clarity just in the last 3 months on the vision of where we need to go as a society, and we're building stepping stones on how to get there. So I'm hopeful.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Well, Neil, you want to check in?
Yeah, thanks, babe. I'm feeling a little teary, if I must say, and I've been really touched by the other speakers here today. Reading that poem and coming out of the Joe and Penny session, where I shared in a live Google document work that I'd been doing 10, 15, more years ago, as contributing to carrying capacity and the potential for whole systems design with the movement of the entire nation of Tuvalu, 11,000 people in the mid-Pacific that are going underwater. So we saw this coming. We were writing about this. And yet the part of me here is the letting go, and recognizing that I'm still pointing to these attempts to have made a difference. And I think they're still useful, but I have to also let go of the fact that even though we were doing this systems thinking, the integration, there was insufficient take-up, there was insufficient recognition. And that's as David said, the grief that I'm feeling and the liminal zone that I'm feeling between we have to be able to imagine alternative ways of doing stuff. And at the same time, we have to recognize that for people on the journey, that's going to be a useful step, but we've also moved further. And so it's holding that space. And I've got a poem about that, but I'll come back to that perhaps at the end if it's still the right poem when we come back to. So thanks everybody for being here.
Well, that leaves me. I am grateful and honored to be here with all of you, deeply resonating and also deeply curious. For those who were at the session on Tuesday, what did it do to you? And what is it still doing to you? So I want to have a very open space today to share. If you have a story to share or a vignette to share that wants to be heard, this is the place and the time to do that. And I was a little bit in two minds of how am I going to hold this space today? I can just open it up for anyone who wants to share and share from the heart. And we hold this person and that story, we hold it and we welcome it. And that's perfectly okay for me. That's one way to go, and a good way to go, because there is, I felt last Tuesday that there was so much moving in you all that had not a chance to be shared. So that is a good way to share this. And yet there is also another way of going about. And I just want to propose it to you, and we can see where we want to go. Another way to go is that we go in breakout groups again, in groups of 3. And we really create that space to do the inner work on a level just a notch deeper than we did by than we would do by just sharing stories. And I'm not saying that just sharing stories is not good enough, but there is also the potential to go to that layer deeper. So an alternative could be that I invite one of you to share that story, and that I, as a coach mentor, that I help you going to that level deeper as a kind of demonstration. And we can all tune in on that, because sharing a testimonial and going deeper and being held collective by a group is healing for everyone, not only for the one who is talking, but for everyone. And that could be a kind of model of how we could do that for each other in a little breakout group of 3, where we change roles, where one person is talking and the other one is deep listening, and a third one is observing what is happening. And then we come back and we share. So where does the energy want to go? I just want to ask you, who is more in favor of let's stay here in the big group, let's share, and I will do my best to hold the space and to make it deeper, and let's share it in the big group. Put up your hands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Well, okay. I see that there are plenty of people who want to do that. There are some other people also who want to go in the breakout groups. You know what? If you really feel after this session, when we do it in plenum group, if you still feel, yes, I want this deeper exercise, then I will organize it that we can do that. That we have an extra session in the design school or even just with Anna Watt. And for those people who really say, no, I want to do this deep work, we can do that. Is that okay for everyone? Yes? Okay, super, super. Promise, I long to do this work together with you guys. Really, I really do. So, here we are. There was a session last week, and if I may, I'm just going for having our memory refreshed, if you allow me, just showing the 4 loops of the spiral again. Is that okay? Because there are also some people who are not here, that we are a little bit on the same plane. Is that okay? And then immediately I stop talking and whatever bubbles up can come up. All right, I'll try to share. Right. Can you see my screen? Yes, thumbs up. Okay. So we come from this space of collapse awareness, a space where our energies are rather contracted because there is so much overwhelm and grief there, because it is so immense. The grief is so immense. How not to get stuck there, how to alchemize this grief, love that we have, how to alchemize it into energies that are more expansive, so that we can show up as the beautiful, most beautiful part of ourselves, and that we can give to the world what we have to give to the world. How do we do that? So there are the 4 loops. The first loop was the letting go. Letting go of what? Well, of expectations and conditionings of Horizon 1. And also, if we have done that and we're jumping into activism and wanting to save the world, that's another kind of conditioning, letting go of that conditioning. Letting go of a lot of dreams and expectations and assumptions and entitlements that we had, because we are all children of modernity. We are imbued with that. Also letting go of blame, outrage, shock, all the triggers that we have when we watch the news or we see other outrageous things that are happening. In other words, everything, letting go of everything that no longer makes sense to us. There is a lot behind that. And that's the first and most important step. And it is huge. It is not something that we just can skip over. It is huge. It is hard work. What is the work? The most important thing here is that we stop being so frantic doing what we're doing, or what we are doing. Stop, or at least pause or slow down. stopping, and then being with the grief. Really being with the grief in all its different shapes. It can be shock, or it can be bargaining, or it can be anger, or it can be even denial. We often go back to forms of denial, or it can be depression. All these things have to be felt, preferably together with others. The grace at the other side of that is a feeling of freedom, of being liberated, a spaciousness, and a calmness. And these are the conditions for us to really move to the next loop, which is reprioritize. Reprioritize everything that really matters. Sense making and meaning making. What is that? That really matters. When it's not here about the answers, it is about creating the space for yourself to sense into that. And there are 2 pointers. One is we live now when we are in the awareness that life is going to end, that we are facing death. And it's like with the person with the cancer prognosis, what is it I need to do, still need to do, to have a complete and fulfilled life? That is something from inner out. And the other thing, the other pointer is being present what is happening here and now around us, not in us, but around us. What is needed from me here now? And if we have that calmness and that space and that freedom that was the grace of letting go, these things will come to us. We don't have to grasp them. They will come to us, or they will come through us. The work that we need to do here is just be present with that and open your will. Be in a space of not wanting to control or wanting to know or wanting to predict, an open will, which is actually hard work for our conditioned minds. The grace of that is when we reconnect with our inner selves and with what is happening around us, with what is really important, there is this enormous vital force of renewed meaning and of joy and vitality. We feel the comfort of being connected again, of belonging, something that's actually our birthright. And we all have that capacity in us. It is there. The only thing that we need to do is declutter and make space for it. Also, we feel that we still have agency. Also, although we don't really know what the outcomes of whatever actions we choose is going to be, we feel that it has meaning and we have an agency. It is not about giving up. If we are feeling into that and tapping into that, we can go even a layer deeper, which is the widening of our circles of empathy. And then it's not so much about doing anymore, but being. Being, especially the empathy, the widening of our of our sense of self, and having compassion with others, and also with our species, our human kin, and with all living kin, and even with the planet as a whole. And here is the work, letting your heart break open. Because as Joanna Macy says, if our heart breaks open, a heart that breaks open that can hold the whole universe. How beautiful is that? So if the grief and the predicament is that we are facing is immense, we collectively also have to become immense. And therefore our hearts need to break open. And the grace that we can tap into then that comes to us, which is also our birthright, is a deep compassion and an agape love for everything that is, everything that exists, for the fact that we exist and that something does exist. And an intensity in our sensing, the colors and the tastes and the sounds and the touch and everything is so intense. And also the vibrancy, the feeling aliveness is so intense. And that is the grace that we can tap into. Sorry, I'm gonna stop sharing. Right. I hope this was useful as a reminder. Yes. And now I just open the space. If you are ready, and it's okay to take a few minutes of silence, it's perfectly okay. Yes, Neil, thank you for saying that. I had one more slide, spirituality. I will not share the screen again, but I'll talk to it. So the other level is that we connect into that what is bigger than ourselves, that we open our channel, the open mind, the open heart, open will, and that we are open to that which is much bigger than us. And the work that we have to do is just open ourselves for that. And the grace that comes with that is a sense of awe, really a very deep sense of awe. And very, very important, we drop all fear. There is no fear anymore if you can tap into that. The fear of death falls away because death, as being no longer in our little bodies, we experience that that is not the end point, that we are more than our body. Whatever that is, we are more than our body. So that is a level of being when we are really blessed. Sometimes we have short moments where we can feel that, which are really deeply moving moments. And maybe some of you have already felt that at some point. So I'm just curious for that. Okay, Dave, please share with us.
Thank you very much, Anne. Tuesday was very helpful for me, and personally, I think I had a couple of insights from, well, from many things, but the one-on-one discussion was very helpful for me. How I framed some of these things in my mind, and I talked about this on Tuesday some about my wife and I homeschool our children. So framing the larger context of complexity for me, because everything's connected. How I frame it in my mind is there's different systems that I'm a part of, but all those systems are clearly, all connected and part of one larger system. So sometimes I frame it, like there's education, health, work, food, money, can be sometimes helpful to see them as their individual systems, but then of course they're all connected. If there's one that I'm on a further along on the journey, at least how I personally feel, is regarding education. When I say further along, what I mean by that is I see myself as wanting to be intentional about extracting myself from the dysfunctional systems that exist currently. So that's what I mean by that. So in the education route, I feel pretty far along with that. I'm sure there's much more for me to learn. And then there's other ones that I'm not so far along. And certainly one of the things that came up for me in the one-on-one that I'm struggling with is I feel torn between the current economic system, I guess, and then its connection to the larger. So I feel I have one foot because, I can't pay my mortgage with, vouchers for, mowing other people's lawns or something like that. So that part still requires money. But then I feel like I don't really want to participate in that system. But there's still this pull to do that. I want to participate in this one, and then I want to do this, and I throw a tantrum when I still have to do the other one. And then all the messaging that I've received growing up, just being in the culture in the US, and you get praised for your, at least this has been my experience, for your rugged individualism, being able to do everything yourself. You don't have to rely on anybody. If you ask other people for help, then that means you're weak. So and I think I mentioned, if I live to be 150 years old, I'll be still unlearning that because it's so ingrained in me.
Yes.
And it's such a struggle.
Is it okay, Dave, if I ask you a few questions to go a little bit deeper on that? Are you okay with that?
That's fine with me if it's,
Okay, yeah. Just stay with that, because I think you touch upon something very important. That's one of the assumptions that are ingrained of us. It's a really good example of something that is so deeply ingrained of us, that rugged individualism. So what is the pain that you are feeling on that? Could you talk to that?
To some extent, there's, I feel comfortable going a little bit deeper. There's some stuff I don't know that I feel comfortable sharing today because it involves other people's stories that are close to me. And I don't feel like sharing. It's like their story to show.
Just stay very short with yourself on your inner space. That would be okay. So it's about doing the inner work of letting go. That is it. Letting go of that assumption asks a lot of work, because that is part of ourselves. It's our identity. And letting go. What is the struggle that you are feeling? What is the pain that you are feeling in letting go? I don't need the stories of the other people. What is the pain in you of letting that go, the struggle in you?
So some of the things that come up for me are, well, certainly lots of judgment in pursuing certain things. You're doing it wrong. Why are you letting your family down? Well, why are you making it so hard for yourself and the people around you? Or there's some other thoughts that came up, but those are the ones that that initially pop up for me. I don't know why I'm blanking on the other ones, but yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So that is part of who we think we are, is what is reflected to us by other people, the mirror that we look in, and the judgment that we see there. And letting go of that can be very frightening, because the judgment is there, and we feel that if we don't abide to that, where does it leave us? And now I'm going to ask you another question before I step over to the next person. Could you imagine what could be for you the grace if you could just let go a little bit more of that than what you are doing now, even without being perfect? What could be the grace for you in your inner space?
It feels like a leap of faith, but experiencing something similar in a different context, like with the education thing, is getting to a feeling of calmness and confidence and feeling, I don't know, secure. Yeah, in my choices in that realm, but I have to put a button there. Yeah, but there's a ways for me. It feels like there's actions I have to take, things I have to do to set things up so I can get to that point. I think you can get there eventually. And a big thing for me to overcome is just I'm terrible. I don't know how to ask for help. I feel entirely incompetent.
Yes. Yes. I deeply feel that, and we all do, and we hold you in that, Dave. Yes, that is okay. That is totally okay. So I just ask the other other participants here to feel the resonance, what Dave is sharing with us, because probably we recognize some of the things, the deep things that he is sharing. And just be with that and honor that struggle, and honor the courage to be with that.
Yes, and if I can just affirm Dave on that, the courage in expressing your vulnerability is so underrated and so powerful.
Yes.
Thank you. I see.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. And if I may do a suggestion, the question that I asked last, what would be the grace? Could you tap into that? That can be a help for you when you are really struggling, that you are trying to tap into that and feel that. So you express, Dave, I could feel calmer and more confident in myself. Yes, you can. Yes, it will be like that. That is the grace of doing the work. And it will give you just the grit that is needed to be with the pain, knowing that there is a grace behind that. So thank you. Thank you for going first. Thank you for sharing. Are we okay to go to Sarah? Yes? Sarah, thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you, Dave, for sharing and being so vulnerable. I think it's a great space to hold this. I just went through this kind of journey, so I would say it's like a hero's journey. So I was just going to quickly go through it of my process of how I let go, found myself through reprioritizing. And so 3 years ago, I dedicated myself to the regenerative agricultural movement. That was my identity. I was wrapped around that. So I did field work. I did research with farmers because I'm a researcher, and spent a month sleeping in a car, interviewing farmers and dedicating myself to this movement. And that was 2 rounds of field work, spearheaded by myself, deep commitment to the work that I felt needed to be done. And through that, after 2 years, I had this realization, and there was a moment where it didn't turn out the way that I had imagined. And so it took me a while to understand that it was almost like a death, a feeling that I had to let go. And that was a profound moment for me, realizing that, okay, this is a death. So there's stages, as you mentioned, the grief process. And so that was a moment I had to pause. My business collapsed. My partner that was attached to that business collapsed. Everything unraveled all at once for me. And it was deeply difficult to go through that grieving process. But as you know, through that process, it's just time, and it's acceptance, and it's meeting it and embracing it. And that in itself is an accomplishment, just to sit in that space and kind of hold yourself. And through that process, through the hero's journey, I guess now, I work with Ikigai a lot as a previous educator of like, what is your Ikigai? And so coming back to myself through, okay, research, storytelling, film is something that I'm passionate in, facilitation. And I said, what does that look like? And so through that reprioritizing is when I discovered that, oh, place-based solutions is where it's at. There must be something. And then I discovered bioregionalism. And then I met Joe. And then I met this amazing community. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I am not alone. There are so many people doing all of this amazing work. How do I get started? And so this was my coming out and my openness. And so being with Joe, as you all know, just responding to me through messaging. I had applied for a grant for National Geographic to be like, this is what I want to do. And so Joe just being there, helping me, answering all my millions of questions throughout that process to make sure that it aligns with the work that we're trying to do here, that I'm trying to do myself. And so now I guess through this process, and I'll end here, is this widening and like deepening. And I guess I'm still struggling with this circle of empathy, and I think I'm in a place of letting my heart break back open again. And it's a wonderful place to be. So.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your testimonial. We will be silent for 1 minute to let it land and to honor your testimonial, Sarah. Thank you. Breathe, breathe. The breathing work is so important for the collective healing that we are doing here. Through your nose in, through your mouth out, so that your body, because we're all biological, your body can process this. And trust that we have the inner wisdom to process this and to hold it. Now, when we are ready, I'm happy to give Rita the space to share. Are you ready, Rita?
Thank you, Anne. And thank you, everyone, for being in this container. And I so appreciated you reviewing with the slides again today to refresh my memory of and bring back thoughts of Tuesday. But today something bigger came in. That first slide with the, I think it may be a Banksy graphic of the little girl letting go of the love symbol, the balloon, what came to me from my understanding that love is the generating force of the universe, and that the process that I feel I'm going through is not letting that go, but pulling that love force into my life, into my being, so that I can fully embrace it, fully feel it for myself. And then through processing, letting my heart burst open to be able to share that with others. And I see that my life experiences have been moving me in that direction. And especially recently with the regenerative work, I met Joe 3 years ago, Joe and Penny 3 years ago, and immediately saw, I had an out-of-body experience. I popped up above our watershed here in Western Colorado and saw all the amazing organizations who are doing great work, and just seeing that if there was a weaving of the organizations and the people and the sharing of the finances, what an incredible project we could have here. And 4 of us worked together for a while to try to manifest that, and it hasn't come about as yet. So I'm in this place of letting go, and allowing what is to come next. And so just thank you for putting that image in the chat again. So there is a letting go, but the thread of attachment to the power of the creative force of the universe, love, is there. And I feel that I have a big enough space, a big enough capacity to more fully bring that in to myself, so I can then, when the signals are right, I'm watching and listening to the earth and my relationship to the earth, as in this beautiful tree behind me that has 4 trunks, 4 chambers like a heart. If I listen deeply to that for the signals, I'll know when the time again is to move. But I'm in that space of contemplation, and I thank you for the opportunity to understand that more fully. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Very, very, very powerful what you share. Really, so very important, the work that you are doing. What you demonstrate here is that letting go is not a one-time event. It is again and again and again. And in the beginning, that can feel like devastating. I'm probably not speaking Chinese here. People will know. You try something else, try something else. And then not losing trust that when you keep the channel open, that is the being of the spirituality, keep the channel open, the open will, and keep being present in the here and now. And it will become apparent what is expected from you here now. And I say this with all humility, because I'm struggling with that myself a lot. No, I'm struggling with that myself. So thank you for putting an example. Thank you. Brian, are you ready to share?
Yes, thank you, Helen. I'm inspired by Sarah's hero's journey, and it also reminds me of the work that I've done in a climate workers circle. And I've been to a number of meetings like that where we simply share our grief as climate workers of realizing that in spite of our knowledge, it's the Cassandra paradox, in spite of our understanding of the future, we can't change the trajectory of a collapsing civilization. And that's been very hard for me, having been raised in a somewhat abundant culture in Silicon Valley, I would say, in the past few decades, of moving from that abundance to the scarcity of solutions or the scarcity of resources to actually enable the scaling that the planet needs on a planetary timescale, and realizing that as great as our solutions are, they're not being acted upon. And in many ways, that's Cassandra's paradox, to know the future, to see the future, and yet to not be believed or not be engaged. And that's so challenging. And so my personal journey has been one of grief, of not seeing, not being able to scale quickly enough to enable the reductions that our planet needs, to even to see natural biological climate repair solutions that is the third leg of our climate triad that's needed to keep our ecosystems intact, and yet to not see enough traction there in our lifetime to see the change that the planet needs on a planetary timescale, and having to let go of the idea that we can keep our civilization on the road. I mean, that's, defining your civilization. It's an existential question. And the idea that we have to go through the collapse is daunting. And I've actually, and Einstein says you can't use the same thinking to get out of the puzzle as you used to get into it. And it's been 2 years of thinking, okay, there must be a way to get beyond the polycrisis, because it's like, okay, that thinking, it's not only climate, but it's the other polycrisis, the other dimensions of the polycrisis. It is the warfare, the killing, the automatic killing machines, and the conquest. These are all part of the polycrisis, and yet for me, the clouds cleared. As a small plane pilot, flying in the Arctic, you're either in cloud, and that is the white room, just covered in cloud. Clouds everywhere. You have no idea. You can't see outside. Or you break out and suddenly it's 100 kilometers of visibility. And I feel like last quarter I achieved that by understanding stellar communities and stellar cooperatives. And still I hold hope for the possibility that with bioregional activity, we can provide local and regional natural approaches to climate repair. So I do have hope for that, for communities and for regions. And so my hero's journey is going from the grief of realizing that we're not able to avoid the collapse to a stellar vision that we can build stellar communities that are rising from what will be the ashes of centralized collapse, and that local and regional regeneration is possible, and we must build a stellar seed that can be the phoenix that rises from the ashes of our falling civilization. And that is my hope, that I hope to dedicate the rest of my life to. Thank you.
What a beautiful intent you express here, Brian. I want to hold that sacred. And I can feel, and I think we can all feel your grief and your exhaustion and your courage, your enormous courage, and I bow to that. Thank you for your contribution. Take a few deep breaths. We have room for one more. Milja, are you ready to share?
After Brian, there is something that I'm feeling, and I will try to describe. It seems to me that we are, just to give an example that I'm living at the moment, I live in Serbia at the moment, and beautiful nature, rich, biodiversity rich regions are getting sacrificed for mining. So these areas with high regenerative potential. So not the areas that we need to design, but areas that are already there. And so something came to me, maybe it's from my zero waste background or from my being a good housewife or taking care of your house, your oikos, your home. That in our wish to contribute to something good, there should be something inside of us recognizing what is good that is already here. Not that I have to create from scratch, but like planting new trees or really trying to get this new knowledge that we don't have, how to help the old trees, because we need the old trees. And I'm just thinking of this, if it's seducing us, this wish to be the active agent, like Penny said in the previous session, to be somehow attentive to this, where we are so easily reaching for domineering way as our default, and not this being in service of something. So I will not plant a huge forest. I will look for 1,001 ways to protect the beautiful forest that is already there, or a community or a river, it doesn't matter. So I just wonder, in this, all the beautiful wishes that we have, that we somehow stay attentive to not being seduced, but again, this, I suppose, ego of creating. It will be new, actually, because we will be doing it from a different place, like a new place. And I would really like to share something, because it moved in the way that Brian spoke to us. I sometimes really deeply feel that we need to, I need to feel that I don't have solutions. It's not like solutions are there and we just need to do them. I really, really have this place in me when I feel a much more humbler place. Like, who do I need to become? How do I need to transform and grow to have a mindset that Brian mentioned that will think of a complete, maybe it's silly solutions, maybe it's very light solutions, maybe it's really brave, maybe it's very different from, but there is something humbling in that state when I know, oh fuck, we don't have the solutions. Like we cannot solve this. And then something like a completely new something opens. And it's empty at the moment. It's not, it's an empty space. But this empty space is in a way calling this something like a new world, you know.
Yes.
So that is what's the point at which when Brian was talking, I remembered that experience that I have from my wanderings and blues and sadness and despair and everything in between. And I will stop here.
And you nailed it, Melia. You absolutely nailed it. Yes. You described so beautifully what it means to let go, to be in control, to know the solution, to know the narrative, to want to be the hero. And it's natural that we want to do that. That's a phase that we move through. And then when we start daunting on us that we are not no longer in control or that we don't have the solutions, that is such a scary and such an unsettling phase where we are really knocked off. And the desire to fill that up with something else immediately because we cannot support the void, you know, the void of not being in that agency that is almost unsupportable. And what you describe is holding, what you ended with is holding that space. And Rita described it and Brian described holding that space long enough. That is the work. That is the work. We are doing the work together. And that is part, we are all threads of a bigger consciousness, all little threads of that consciousness that is growing. How we relate to reality, how do we relate to life, how do we relate to something that is way bigger than us. And in all of your testimonials here, we can feel how that is growing, one little thread at a time, not a big bang, not a big boom, not a Silicon Valley story, no, it won't be like that. So thank you for sharing this. Sarah, you have a question or? Wait. You want to come on, Sarah, or you just shared something in the chat? No.
I just wanted to put that in the chat. I don't need to dwell on it. I just wanted to put that out there. I'm practicing
Okay,
like
that's good.
voicing things. So
That's
yeah.
good. Thank you. Thank you all for bearing witness, for staying here, and for holding the space together for each other, for voicing what is alive in us when we are alchemizing the knowing into the being and doing, the awareness into the acceptance without giving up. On the contrary, coming out much larger and even more intense and beautiful than we could ever imagine. that would happen. That is really the work that we need to do. So thank you all for being here. And if there is enough, I will make an offer in the design school for an extra session for breakout groups where I'm going to suggest a procedure to break down the process of helping each other come to the deeper level of voicing what is happening into us. And being able to do that will grow your own self-confidence and your own energy. But also for the one who is listening and receiving, it will grow the confidence and the energy. So for whomever is interested, I will make an offering and we can see who will show up. Okay. So I want to bring it to a closure. Neil, would you like to bring it to a closure for us?
If I can, and thank you for your masterful holding of the space today. It's, yeah, I'm honoured to be here with you. Thank you. I've got several poems and I've been looking at which ones fit, and I think the one that fits best, some of you may have heard, some of you may not have heard. These are poems from my own journey. This one that comes to me, I'll share a picture in a moment so that you can see what I'm talking about. But there's a quote that comes first from Donna Ashworth in a book called Wild Hope. The Edge. Standing at the edge of a new chapter can be scary. The desire to run back into the pages you know so well is more than tempting, but you must keep moving. Chapters end, even the good ones. And if you linger in the past too long, your story cannot unfold the way it should, and you might just miss the most beautiful moments of your life whilst grieving the ones gone by. It's scary at the edge, my friend. I know, but just jump. You have so much ahead, and the good stuff behind will always be there. So that's the quote. And now I'm going to attempt to share one screen while reading from another screen. So let's see how it goes. So who knows the world famous, can you see my picture?
Yes.
Yep. Great. Who knows the world famous surfer, Kelly Slater? So Kelly Slater here is at Pipeline coming down the face of a wave. And this poem's called The Edge. I watch in awe as Slater glides effortlessly across the waves. Such speed, such grace, such mastery, not riding the wave to the shore, but holding it, seemingly forever. Running parallel to the coast, respectfully maneuvering at speed around others deeper in his ocean. Standing above them, carving paths around them, silvery lines that leave them surrounded by the light patterns splashed in his wake. They too look on with wonder, and wonder for themselves. Could I ever be that good? I stand astride this knife-edged trail, once more looking down at the steep descents on both sides and wondering, do I have what it takes? Do I have too much or not enough? Like a surfer, I must choose in the moment, in each moment, where am I willing to go, and is it now? Should I shift my weight slightly backwards and avoid the drop again? So easy to slide back, sink back into the comfortable and reassuring embrace of deeper water beyond the chaos of the break. Or is this the moment? This moment. The moment when, with a slight lean forward at just the right time, I will take a deep breath and choose to commit and drop in, down the precipitous face, in front of the turbulent energy of the breaking wave. Do I trust I have enough? Enough of what it takes to rise above the foam, out of ocean, into sky, and navigate to avoid hurting those here with me? Imagine. Just imagine. Imagine having the mastery, the poise, the feel, the confidence to know I am enough. And in that moment, to commit, to choose to lean forward, to ride this wave, no, not straight to the sand, but twisting and turning and straightening and carving, glistening paths through deep blue waters, turning and gliding along quicksilver crests, teetering on the edge for endless moments before dropping back in. Oh, to grace those watching with a presence that inspires, even as the silver droplets of Indra's web sparkle and return to the deep blue. Each a momentary bright star, sparkling over the ocean from whence they came, before following their natural urge, and urge to merge their presence once more with the sacred energies of the whole. You guys and girls, this space has brought me to tears again. Yeah, it's amazing to observe the words on the page and to feel the emotions that they invoke from the journey that I've been on in the presence of a collective container that can hold what they mean. Thank you.
Thank you all. Go well. Let's keep in touch. For those who want, we can continue the work. Whenever you need it, there is a space where you can come and where we can meet each other and hold each other. Bye.
Thank you.